everyone, I'm your host, Mal Paddock. Welcome to another episode of Hey, You're Interesting. Over the years, we've brought you the most incredible in-depth interviews with the most incredibly interesting people on the planet. From Drake Cymbal, three-time world champion ace napkin folder, whose recreation of fleas on a dog eating its own poo stunned the judges panel with its authenticity, to Cambridge Adams, the escape artist who holds the world's record for the longest duration of an escape attempt from a locked trunk submerged 60 meters below the surface of the ocean, who as of today is clocking in at a phenomenal 42 days. We wish you luck, Cambridge. But today we have our most interesting guest. This magnificent mansion in Southern California has remained empty for the last 90 years. It was the home of Simon Gage, one of the most notorious serial killers in U.S. history, with over 212 bodies to his infamous record. But today it is the home of our guest, who purchased the property just for this interview. They have traveled very far in order to be here today for their very first interview with humankind. Today on Hey, You're Interesting, we bring you up close with a Mezzalbub. Good afternoon, Mezzalbub. I should start by asking, is it all right to call you that?
I've been called by so many names. Drake of Sting, Chef of Bad Breath, Pinch Me King, Heaven's Wastebasket, Slayer of anything smaller than myself, but a Mezzalbub will do.
And you are a 4th level demon from the bowels of hell.
5th level. I was just promoted.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It was touch and go there for a minute. Gary from Spawn Daycare was in line for the position, but he lost out when he was caught feeding demon babies to angels on the white market. Those lava junkies are the worst.
Let's go back to the beginning. Tell us your journey through the ranks.
Well, funny story. I started out as a dermis agitator.
What's that?
I used to have a thing for soft skin. Its texture, the way a claw could glide over its little teeny tiny hair follicles. So I passed my exam in the top 2% and was placed in human casings. That husk is such a sublime canvas. Acne, eczema, sunburn, diaper rash, just an endlessly creative field to work in. It's inspired me in many ways. There's a local comedy club that I sometimes perform at, doing stand-up most nights, but occasionally I do a little poetry reading. Your skin peels and falls away. Drops of acid rain. I like chocolate ice cream.
Fascinating. It almost seems like you're saying that we're consciousness in a shopping bag.
Pretty much.
And how long did you do that?
I was only there a short time, about 12,000 years, give or take. But then one day at a colleague's fiery pit of doom, we had a cookout of flayed North American torso, and we watched The Silence of the Lambs. Whoa, what a funny movie. Anyway, I developed an interest in human digestion, which put me right in line for gastric mixology. I bet you didn't know there are at least 387 different types of abdominal distress, with diarrhea only being number 3.
Whoa. We haven't had one of those in a while. Sorry for the interruption. So I understand that although you excelled in your duties, management didn't take any notice of your accomplishments.
It was a typical corporate mindset. No matter how good you are at your job, those on the top floor don't care unless it makes them look bad or good. I knew I had to come up with something to grab their attention. To truly understand the meat of our jobs, I needed to understand the psychological aspects of humanity as well as the physical trappings. After intensive research, I came up with some doozies.
Could you share these doozies with us?
Gladly. You know how people will pull out their phone while they're in the middle of a conversation with you?
Oh yeah, it's pretty rude.
Thank you for saying so. I came up with that.
No.
Yep. And so many more.
Like what?
Using all caps in emails, putting the empty container back in the fridge, getting in the 10 items or less lane with more than 10 items, talking at the movies, my personal favorite, saying, I'm not racist, some of my best friends are, fill in the blank. The list goes on and on.
I remember when I was a child, there was a...
Making every conversation about yourself? That's another one of mine.
And this caught the attention of the top executives?
Oh, big time. They commended me for my unique innovation and wanted me to create a new think tank.
You must have been so pleased.
I was. But you know, this new responsibility really weighed on me. I mean, what if I couldn't come up with the goods? You know, the head honcho is not exactly known for his patience and forgiveness.
I can imagine.
Yes, it's quite the daunting task to come up with something unique and original more than once in your lifetime.
But you did.
Fake news.
Fake news?
Fake news. Most people don't bother to take the time to think critically. You can tell them anything, and even if it barely glances off their prejudices, hatred, or just stupidity, they'll believe anything. So I thought that if I could make people believe that the absolutely ridiculous and unfounded stories that have no basis in facts can be called real news, and the fact-based news, even with well-researched evidence could support those facts, can be called fake news, well, this could have stratospheric repercussions.
I believe it has.
You betcha.
Now, I understand there was also a conflict in the office. Would you be willing to talk about that?
That was 1,200 years ago. So I guess it wouldn't hurt to talk about it. Corporate really frowns on inter-office romances, but sometimes you just hate someone so much you can't deny what the heart compels you to do.
And that happened to be your time with your supervisor, Blemelrod.
Yes, Blemelrod. We had no intention of getting involved. And for the first 2 millennia, we didn't. But you know how it goes. One night we were at an office party, we both drank too much blood. We were having a wild time photocopying our tales. One thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we find ourselves at the Pope's yard sale. Horns off, tails intertwined, and the best teeth gnashing I've ever had in my life.
Your relationship was discovered, and you were disciplined.
I was ordered to take on human form, work in public transit, and go to Comic-Con every year, which is a very confusing place when everyone looks like a demon.
How was working in public transit?
I became very good at saying, please stand clear of the open door.
And Blemelrod?
Eaten alive.
Oh, that's terrible. That must have been hard to take.
Nah, with the right seasoning, they went right down.
And that brings us to your present occupation.
Yes. I was put in charge of an already established department that had been held in reserve for quite some time. Sort of a sleeper cell, waiting to be activated. Just me and 4 dedicated employees. Horsemen, actually.
I'm guessing that came with a new title?
Several. There's the Host of Decimation, the Cool Cat of Catastrophe, the Magician of Annihilation, and one more. What was it? Oh yes, the Arm of Armageddon. The end of the world is quite the career topper.
I don't suppose there might be room for a survivor or two?
You know what? Not really my department.